one is tonight, dog.
Good dog.
Step one is tonight.
Back the other way, Sam Hubbard, the Cincinnati Kid. He will score.
We're not going to play Buffalo. They got to do what? They got to play us, baby.
Do you feel like an underdog going into this game?
I never feel like an underdog.
And a big dog. End zone. Touchdown. What a start.
Just been the feeling we've had all season. We don't really care what anybody else says about us.
Huntley throws into traffic, intercepted.
I think they're done, but I don't think that they are at the top. They may not even get to the post.
We got the same folks, and we only better. We was the team last year to win the AFC Championship.
And Cincinnati is heading to the Super Bowl.
We know that we're the defending AFC champions, and so there's an edge to this team where we're not an underdog to anybody.
We ready?
Get out the way. Get out the way. Get out the way. Get out the way.
Can we get a pulse check? Because I am hyped and ready to go. So grab your folding tables, hide your folding tables, grab your orange and black gear, and get that ranch ready because it's on to Buffalo for the divisional round as the Bengals and Bills clash with a trip to the AFC Championship on the line. Welcome into this Bengals Weekly Playoff Special. I'm Marissa Contapelli.
And I'm Chris Rankel, and I know we gotta hate everything blue cheese, but I cannot stand ranch. I'm a blue cheese guy all the way. It was this time last year the Bengals playoff run really started to become a reality. They beat the Titans to go to the AFC Championship. Can they do the same this year in Buffalo? And you know who strikes me as a ranch guy? Because he's got a bottle of it at his desk. Gary Miller out in Buffalo, the third member of our crew.
Well, this is where the Bengals would have been last January if Josh Allen and the Bills had outlasted Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in their overtime divisional playoff. Instead, this trip is just to get back to the AFC Championship game. Coming up, the first of our sit-downs was Zach Taylor, but right now let's go back indoors with Marissa.
Well, Gary, before we look ahead to this week's matchup against Buffalo, I think we need to first relive the wild Sunday night in the jungle against the Ravens, as the Bengals took care of business to advance to the divisional round.
We are back at Paycor Stadium, getting set for the Bengals and Ravens on Wild Card Weekend here in Cincinnati.
AFC North. Bengals dub on the way, man. Y'all say so.
Big Andy all night, dog. It's go time. It's go time. It's just the next step, dog. Let's go. From the jump, man. From the jump. Go get this win, man. Win on three. 1, 2, 3.
And now we're getting set for the captains to approach the 50.
Baltimore won the toss and will defer. Cincinnati will receive.
And the Bengals will begin from their 25-yard line. Burrow back to throw, whips it over the middle, caught by Tyler Boyd. First down in Ravens territory. Boyd spins the ball after the catch. Burrow gives it to Mixon. Gaping hole up the middle. Joe charges between the hash marks. The snap, the placement, the right-footed kick, right down the middle. Huntley throws into traffic, intercepted. Akeem Davis Gaither with the pick. Drops back from the 14, throws. Caught by Chase. Touchdown! Bengals! Nice. He caught it at the 1, spun around, and charged into the end zone for the Bengals. First touchdown of the night. Third down and 8, Baltimore. The Ravens at their own 37. Huntley looking, scrambling, running to the left. He's got running room. Huntley racing to try to get to the first down. Nice. Logan Wilson runs him down. Burrow back to throw. Fires up a leaping catch. Hayden Hurst toward the goal line. It's a 1-yard touchdown for Joe Burrow, and the Bengals have the lead. Third down and goal from the 1. Huntley sticks the ball out. The Bengals have the ball. Baby. They are running it back. Sam Hubbard with blockers behind him. Hubbard to the Ravens 40, the 30, the 20, the 10, the 5. Touchdown! Bengals! Sam Hubbard, the hero tonight, as he goes 98 yards to the house to give the Bengals a 24-17 win. The Bengals are moving on.
Well, Zach Taylor became the Bengals' all-time leader in playoff wins last week. With that win, the Bengals won a playoff game for back-to-back seasons for the first time ever. Just more streaks and records to fall over the last couple of years. Gary Miller sat down with Zach Taylor to recap the win over Baltimore.
Okay, Coach, any play in particular stick out in that game against the Ravens?
Well, the goal line fumble for the touchdown is one that'll go down in history books, for Cincinnati fans, and rightfully so. And I think it's pretty cool that Sam Hubbard, the hometown kid, was a big part of it.
How many people were involved in that play, though? I mean, Sam signed it off, but if you don't get Logan doing what he did, if you don't do other things on that drive, like Jesse Bates' tackle, I mean, that's a really collaborative, collective effort there.
It is. Just really that play and the 3 plays before it just signify what our defense is all about. Jesse not giving up on a play, knocking the quarterback out on the 2, Cam Sample batting the ball, Von Bell, everyone fitting the run right, and Von Bell making the tackle on the 1.5 yard line, and then D lineman going low to create the pile, Jermaine Pratt standing him up, Logan Wilson knocking it out, Sam Hubbard run all the way down the field with Marcus, Hakeem, and Vaughn, in tow there. So it was indicative of how our defense plays football.
When you think of that, that's not the only history-making play. Most wins in franchise history, longest win streak in franchise history. You're 4-1 as a playoff coach. I mean, this, not just that play, this team is going to go down in Bengals franchise.
It's a great team, deservedly so. We got great people on the team, on the staff that have put in a lot of work, believe in everything we're doing and believe in each other. And when you got special teams like this, you don't want it to end.
Lamar Jackson didn't make it for the game. Your guys who have been out sometimes for almost the whole season, in terms of Clark Harris, Chidobe went out early in the season, Drew Sample, they've been a big part of this, even though they can't play on the field. How much does that mean? What does that say about the camaraderie of this team?
It does. It's awesome. And they're really here for the home games, and sometimes it's hard for those guys to travel. But it's something we certainly look at for the playoffs. We want everyone to be able to appreciate these trips and all the hard work that's put in, whether they got hurt in the early part of the season, the late part of the season. We needed all their efforts at some point in the year. And so it's hard when their season ends prematurely, but they're still a big part of what we do.
It almost didn't happen, but the game ball playoff tradition continued. You're not exactly a guy that hangs out in bars. How do you decide where these are going to go? I
get some help, pointing in the right direction where they're going to be a good crowd. And there's a lot of worthy people. And that's one thing I hear a lot is, how do we get one, And this thing's going to go on for a long time, And so, when the moment hits for certain people, they get a chance to enjoy it. In the meantime, it's a fun experience for everyone involved. And so to get a chance to mingle with the fans for just a couple of minutes, I was probably in there for 4 or 5 minutes tops. But I don't always get a chance to be in the crowd like that after a game and see their emotion, their reactions, and it was a lot of fun.
Now, the fumble in the jungle will be forever remembered in Cincinnati football history. Now, the Ravens couldn't catch Sam, but we managed to track him down as we talked to the hometown hero in this week's Behind the Stripes.
I've never really been in that position, but it's a good feeling. I see why the offensive guys like it.
Right around Huntley, he reaches, oh, that ball's out, that's live! Back the other way, Sam Hubbard, the Cincinnati Kid. Hubbard's got a convoy, chased by Andrews at the 30, the 20, he will score!
Comes down to the play where I saw him try and jump over top. It just happened to fall in my hands, and natural reaction to start running towards our own end zone.
As soon as he reached out, I just tried to stop it, and both G and I got the ball out and fell right into the arms of Sam, and then he just took off running, and I was not chasing after him because I was not going to catch him and then have to go back, and it is a crazy play.
I didn't know what to do. I just spun the ball out, and everyone was just going nuts. It was an incredible feeling.
What's going through your mind?
during that Sam Hubbard play?
Run faster, Sam. Go. Get there.
I feel like the sideline just erupted. You know, I was hoping he would run a little faster than they did, but he was gassed, and rightfully so.
It was a collective effort. The guys, you know, even the D tackles, stopping their O-line at the spot so that he had to jump over. Then I thought it was all Logan just from what people were saying after, but then you look at the film and Jermaine had a huge part in it too. And the guys running with me at my caravan to the end zone. We got a special team and a special group on defense.
It's rare to have the unselfishness that we have on defense. We always preach like the bow up mentality. Just keep doing your job each and every play, and when the opportunities come, guys are in position to make those plays.
It's pretty surreal, you know, to have it happen in the playoffs is just a whole nother stratosphere of what it means to the franchise and the city. It's the #1 play of my career, any level, any sport. That's #1. I don't know if anything will ever top it, but we'll keep trying, of course.
Well, the Cincinnati Kid was on the mic, and coming up next, we'll head down to field level as Sam Hubbard was mic'd up against the Ravens. Bengals Weekly is brought to you by Paycor, proud to be the official HR software provider of the Cincinnati Bengals. And Alta Fiber, proud to be the official internet provider of the Cincinnati Bengals. Sam Hubbard, Logan Wilson, and Jermaine Pratt were better together in the Bengals' wildcard win over the Ravens. Fourth quarter, game tied at 17 with Baltimore threatening to take the lead. The defense stepped up to rewrite the history books.
Oh, that ball's out, that's live! Back the other way, Sam Hubbard! The Cincinnati Kid! Hubbard's got a convoy! Chased by Andrews! He will score!
I was watching on the big screen. I was like, he's coming, somebody block. I'm like, please don't get caught. Logan's just one of the most aware football players I've ever played with. He jumped up, punched the ball out. I just know that Jermaine's having an unbelievable year. Whenever it seems like we need to play, it seems to be Jermaine, and that's not by accident.
The 98-yard touchdown now stands as the longest go-ahead fourth quarter touchdown and longest fumble returned for a touchdown in NFL postseason history. Sam Hubbard, Logan Wilson, and Jermaine Pratt are better together. Brought to you by Fifth Third Bank. Give that man all of the oxygen he wants, because I don't know about the rest of you, I still cannot get enough of Sam Hubbard's incredible 98-yard touchdown in the wild card win. And what made that moment even sweeter was knowing Sam was mic'd up.
I feel that energy! Be legendary, right? Churches on 3! 1, 2, 3, church! Let's go, D! Boy, it's gonna be bloody. Good luck. It wasn't fear that gripped him, only a heightened sense of things. Let's go! Clean up, crew!
Huntley throws into traffic, intercepted. Akeem Davis Gaither with the pick.
Akeem, hell of a play, great job.
They hand it to him from time to time. They do it here.
No.
Cam Taylor-Britt.
No.
Sam Hubbard there as well.
Way to blow up, bro. It's always ugly.
Right.
Come down to the last snap, keep grinding.
Let's go, 3 now.
We fly around!
Logan Wilson runs him down.
Let's go! Way to talk out there. It's gonna be ugly, just keep swinging. Go on!
First and goal from the 2. Fakes a handoff, throws, and it is incomplete. From the 2, second and goal. It's a handoff. Edwards fighting toward the goal line. Von Bell wrestling with him. He does not get in. Third down and goal from the 1. Huntley sticks the ball out. The Bengals have the ball.
Baby!
so scared of getting caught. The first 40 yards, you look fast as hell.
I was so terrified of getting caught. I was like, he's on my ass. Good game. That's us. We won that right there.
Great job, man. That's incredible, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you, bro. I was so scared of getting caught.
It may have taken until just now for Dave Lapham to catch his breath from all the nice, go, how, woos on the fumble in the jungle call for Sam Hubbard's return. But now a more cerebral and relaxed Lap sits down at his telestrator to dissect just how they came out with that win against the Ravens.
A huge reason the Bengals beat the Ravens in the wild card playoff round, red zone defense. It was extraordinary. Ravens got in the red zone 4 times, scored 1 touchdown. Let's take a look at the Bengals defense in the red zone. First play in the low red zone, throwback tight end screen. Going to motion the receiver across the formation, and they're going to throw the screen to Mark Andrews, the all-pro. Going to roll to the right. What are you going to do on the backside? How disciplined are you going to be? Watch Jesse Bates. Jesse Bates is going to knife between them and make a play. Once he makes the mistake of not picking Jesse Bates up, here he comes. Great play, great read by a great player. On this play, good design. Backs going one way, lineman pulling the opposite direction. Watch Kevin Zeitler as he pulls here. This is a good tackling drill the Baltimore Ravens should show. You wrap up, you take him to the ground. That's what he did. Huntley's off to the races. He's out there by himself. Watch the effort play, the hustle play by Jesse Bates. He disengages from, he's blocked well. He disengages from it, and watch him run it down. Big hustle play, big effort play by Jesse Bates. 300-plus pound fullback is going to kick out. He's going to pull a lineman. Going to give the ball to a 235-pound running back. They're just trying to mash the football over here. Bengals stand up to it. Watch Bailey take on that fullback. Boom, knock him to the ground. Here comes the pulling lineman. Boom, stuff him. Straight, Von Bell, shoo, hits him right in his chest. Knocks him backwards. Logan Wilson involved as well. Great stand. And here's the play everybody's going to talk about for decades. Pratt stands him up. Logan Wilson knocks the ball out of his hands, goes right into the waiting arms of Sam Hubbard, and the big boy is off to the races. 7 points the Ravens were counting on. The Bengals took them away and put 7 on the board themselves. It all started with Jesse Bates' tackle to give them a chance in their goal line defense, setting up that 3rd and goal, and Sam Hubbard delivers. Big play, wins the football game.
When we come back, it's back to Zach as he sizes up the Bills, and we find out whether he's a wing guy.
You've always had a lot of respect for Sean McDermott. How did what happened that night when you went over to their sideline, you guys decide we're not going to finish this game, how did that change, how you guys view each other?
A lot of things, intense situations like that, just verify things you already thought. And I've always known Sean's a great man and a great leader, and that Monday night really just confirmed that.
You didn't get to see them not just one series, but did Josh Allen confirm a lot of the things you were prepared for?
Yeah, he's a great player. We saw that 4 years ago when we went up there. Saw it on the Wyoming tape when we studied it. We've had a lot of crossover tape with them. We've followed a lot of teams that they've played, so we've seen their offense a lot, and he's one of the best to do it.
They like to play wide open. He loves to chuck it down the field. Does that change? The Baltimore game, it's going to be a possession game, and they're going to run the ball a lot. Does that kind of open your playbook up to some things that maybe weren't available in the previous game?
It's a different style for sure. They will open it up, and they got a lot of quarterback runs as well, which we just dealt with. So again, they'll keep you on your toes. They're a really good explosive team, and they do a good job schematically putting their guys in position. And so it should be a good game.
As Ted Karras described that crowd as unique. How would you describe the atmosphere in Orchard Park?
It's always wild. It's always loud. They take a lot of pride in being Bills fans, and I appreciate that. That's what's so great about this league is going to places like that where they're not in the big cities, and that's what they got. They got the Buffalo Bills, and I, being from Norman, Oklahoma, and playing at Lincoln, Nebraska, I certainly appreciate that. And so it's always one of those places you circle that you look forward to going up there and playing a game.
Are you a wing guy?
I'll eat wings. You put them in front of me, I'll eat them.
Yeah, what's your preferred
pretty plain,
sauce level?
Pretty plain. You know, mild. Whatever the sauce is going to be, it needs to be mild.
Ranch or blue cheese?
Ranch.
And you eat the celery?
No. Maybe the carrots, not the celery.
Yeah.
Last season was the first time the Bengals won 3 playoff games in the same postseason. By adding another win already this postseason, Zach Taylor has vaulted to the top of this franchise list of career playoff wins. The other 9 head coaches have combined for 5, 3 for Sam Weish, 2 for Forrest Gregg.
Pretty impressive for Zach Taylor to already be at the top of that list, but what will it take for the Bengals to add another playoff win to that stat sheet? Well, it starts with shutting down this potent Bills offense that has put up more than 30 points in 4 straight games.
Number one, containing Allen. Make sure he doesn't get outside the pocket. He's kind of like Mahomes. When he gets outside the pocket, that's when he's best. We feel like we keep him in the pocket and make him a true quarterback. You know, he'll give us opportunity to get hands on the ball, and we just got to take advantage when we get those chances.
It's just really difficult when you add in, not only is he a tremendous passer, accuracy, arm strength, decision making, then you add on the fact that he's a giant human being and will run and try to run you over. That's tough.
We know those guys got a lot of connection, and they got to go out there and challenge it and really go play our game. We can't really worry about them. Go play our game, and what we've been putting on film for week in and week out, and go out there just having fun, just letting loose.
We've been in tough situations all year, and guys just find ways to dig each other out. You can tell when one guy makes a play, we're all excited, so that just shows what type of room we have.
Well, when we return, Chris takes us back to the Monday night game that will forever connect the Bengals and Bills organizations. That's next, here on our Bengals Weekly Playoff Special. Bengals Weekly is brought to you by Fifth Third Bank, the official bank of the Cincinnati Bengals, and your local Kia dealers. Visit kia.com to discover movement that inspires.
You can't talk about the Bengals and Bills without mentioning what happened at Paycor Stadium 3 weeks ago. This is the first meeting between the two franchises since that historic moment. It won't be the last. No matter how much time has passed, these two teams will forever be linked.
January 2nd, 2023, 8:55 p.m., the 50-yard line of Paycor Stadium. 1 second, one play, one moment that would echo throughout the football world. An instance that tied together 2 players, T. Higgins and Damar Hamlin, and united 2 cities separated by 428 miles.
Really unified 2 cities, and not only that, but the whole entire nation came together with that, and everyone really responded very well.
You can't think of the Bengals and Bills facing each other on the field without remembering what happened on that field, on that day when the unthinkable happened. This is just the first meeting since the miracle on Monday night. The memory is still fresh. It wasn't that long ago the football world held their breath. 3 weeks later, though, it's a very different feeling. Hamlin is back at the Bills facility, and though he won't play, his presence uplifts both sides of this matchup.
All we needed was to see his face and see him walking around. Once we knew he was healthy, we kind of had a weight lifted off our shoulders. But then actually seeing him in person, it was amazing, man. Every guy on the team just, was so happy to see him.
Hopefully, talk to him a little bit and just chop it up a little.
That experience we'll carry that with us, and there's a challenge to that, but there's also a lot of good that came from that. And I think right now we need to focus on the positive and the positives that came out of that.
Sunday marks 20 days since the event. The game has moved forward. The stakes in this matchup are high, and when the final whistle blows, one team advances, the other heads home. But no matter how many matchups or years will pass, the miracle at the 50-yard line will forever link the Bengals and Bills.
The positivity that's come through it all, to see Damar, getting healthier as time passes, and to see where it's ended up, I think there's always going to be a strong connection between these two organizations, and that's a good thing.
I think we're just extremely focused right now and just having a good week of preparation and trying to go out there on Sunday and execute.
There's a a ticket to the AFC Championship on the line. So that's what this game means, and I don't think there's really anything more that needs to be said about that. Now it's a winner-go-home scenario, and we're going to roll the ball out Sunday 3 p.m.
Who Day conversations are part of every Bengals weekly broadcast. Now it's time for a divisional playoff edition with Dan Hoard, Dave Lapham, and Jeff Hobson.
Whether you call it the fumble in the jungle or the Hubbard yard dash, Sam Hubbard's 98-yard return of a fumble forced by Logan Wilson goes down as one of the greatest plays in Bengals history. And it inspired this topic for our Who Day conversation this week. What are the most memorable postseason plays in Bengals history? Lap is up first.
Well, Dan, this time of year, playoff time, takes me back to 1981. That was the year the Bengals won the first playoff game in franchise history. Joe Ferguson and Joe Cribbs, who advanced to the Freezer Bowl against the San Diego Chargers. The adversity of playing in 59 below zero wind chill made it even a tougher opponent. Kenny Anderson went 14 for 22, threw two touchdown passes, no interceptions. We're up 2 scores, 10-0 to the Chargers, and Fouts is struggling. We ultimately win the football game 27-7. With that 8-yard touchdown pass to ML Harris, everybody looked at Kenny Anderson like, you're the man. You can get it done no matter what the weather conditions.
All right, let's go from the Bengals' first Super Bowl team to their second. Butch, you're up next.
Let me do something special. That's what Stanford Jennings prayed when he went to bed the night before Super Bowl 23 in Miami. That's because a couple hours before he had just seen his newborn daughter for the first time. She came early. Kelsey Amanda Jennings didn't want to miss it. And boy, did her father do something special. 93-yard kick return with 34 seconds left in the third quarter. It was a tough loss, but what a moment. At the end of it, tears in his eyes. All Jennings could say was, this one was for Kelsey. A great day to remember.
All right, we don't have to go back very far for my moment. January 15th of last year, 17 seconds to go. The Bengals with a 7-point lead over the Raiders. And on 4th and goal from the 9-yard line, Jermaine Pratt intercepts Derek Carr near the goal line to give the Bengals their first playoff win in 31 seasons. It meant catharsis for Bengals fans, many of whom were moved to tears at Paycor Stadium. And more importantly, it allowed the Bengals to move on to the next round and helped ignite one of the most unlikely Super Bowl runs in NFL history. Maybe we'll see a moment like that this Sunday in Buffalo and talk about it next week in our Who Day conversation.
There are endless stats for every NFL game, but when we get down to the Elite Eight, you can always find the best in the Contepelli Countdown. That's next.
This team is beloved by that city. They are a pro, and they're a pro for anybody. Bengals are hot, and they're really rolling. There are some dogs out there running around.
That's the next step, dog. Go get this win, man. Win on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Joe Burrow is dynamite.
Uncorks it. Touchdown! Wanna go home, man. Wanna go home. Hey, feel that energy. Be legendary, right?
Welcome back to our Bengals Weekly Playoff Special, where 5 teams enter the divisional round on a win streak of 5 or more games. Sunday in Buffalo will feature 2 of them, along with 2 of the top 7 scoring offenses in the league. Now, as we've seen over the last few months, Joe Burrow seems to play his best ball in the biggest moments, as Shiesty season is upon us. With a win on Sunday, Burrow will become the first quarterback drafted #1 overall to win 5 playoff games at age 26 or younger, and would join Russell Wilson and Ben Roethlisberger as the only QBs to win 5 or more playoff games in their first 3 NFL seasons. Burrow has won each of his last 12 starts in December and January, and is one of 7 quarterbacks with a 12 or better game win streak in those months in the Super Bowl era. The previous 6 all won a Super Bowl in that span. Burrow also continued to add playoff accolades to his name after last week's wild card victory. He now holds the Bengals quarterback record for most postseason wins, passing attempts, completions, completion percentage, and passer rating, and needs just 7 yards to pass Ken Anderson for the most passing yardage and 3 passing touchdowns to tie Anderson for most in Bengals postseason history. Now Burrow's bread and butter counterpart continues to shine in the postseason. Chase's career average receiving yards per game of 90 in the playoffs is the 5th highest ever by a receiver. Since the start of 2021, Chase's 556 receiving yards after contact is second most among all receivers, and including the playoffs. Burrow and Chase have linked up for 17 downfield passing touchdowns, second most in the NFL. Well, as for the defense, you have to go all the way back to week 8 of the regular season to find the last team that has netted more than 400 total yards of offense against the Bengals. And the red zone defense over the last 3 games, well, it's been elite. In 9 total red zone trips, the Bengals have surrendered only 3 touchdowns. Good for a 33.3% red zone efficiency rate. That is tied for the best percentage among all playoff teams. And the Bengals could be in store for some takeaways on Sunday. Josh Allen's combined 22 giveaways is the most in the NFL this season, including the playoffs, as he threw 2 interceptions and lost a fumble in the wild card round against the Dolphins. Allen also has a league-high 6 games of 2 or more interceptions thrown, and as a team, Buffalo has 3 or more turnovers in each of the last 3 games. As Cincinnati has 2 or more takeaways in their last 5 playoff games, 11 in total. That's the most in the NFL in that span.
Contepelli's Countdown is presented by Betfred, and don't forget that sports betting is officially live in Ohio. Download the Betfred app today to get in on the action. The Bengals encourage you to gamble responsibly. Now let's hear from Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense on their matchup against the Bills D.
Well, the way they play defense, they try to keep everything in front and limit the big plays. And when you get down into the red zone, that style of defense is really effective because you shorten the field. And they can play a lot more aggressive in their zones. And like you said, they have really good players as well.
They got DBs that stand out and play technical too. Tre'Davious White's from LSU. I know him a little bit. So, it'll be good matchups all around the field.
I definitely feel like we're going to run the ball effectively when we're given opportunity. And Joey B going to be the one out there facilitating, doing whatever we got to do to become successful.
Play within the game plan, and that's why I have all the trust in our coaches to put together great game plans like they have since I've been here. You just execute it the way it's supposed to be, and the rest will take care of itself.
I mean, we ain't no underdogs. We know we not, and at the end of the day, we just got to go out there and get the job done.
And who's been getting the job done since he came to Cincinnati? Joe Burrow continues to rewrite the Bengals record books. Already the franchise leader in completion percentage, passing yards per game, and playoff wins. 7 more yards. He's the leader in playoff passing yards. He will tie the great Ken Anderson, also with most playoff appearances.
Don't forget to check out Bengals Picks, presented by Ohio Lottery, now in the Bengals app for your chance to win prizes throughout the season. 18 and over. Terms and conditions may apply.
Well, coming up after the break, Richard Skinner joins me because there are quite a few key matchups to victory for the Bengals over the Bills.
Bengals Weekly is brought to you by Betfred, the official sports betting partner of the Cincinnati Bengals.
This has been the showdown everyone in the NFL has been waiting for. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, 2 of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. The first time these 2 teams have met in their NFL careers. But that's just one matchup. For the other matchups in this game that'll matter, we bring in Local12.com's Richard Skinner. All right, Skinny, there are going to be so many battles within this battle overall, but who are some of the matchups we need to keep our eye on Sunday? clearly, offense versus defense, Josh Allen, they got to stop it.
Yeah, Lou Anarumo versus Josh Allen. Lou Anarumo had been a master in coming up with plans to stop Patrick Mahomes. We don't know what might have happened on the Monday night. We do know what happened in one series. They limited them to a field goal, which might have turned to be pretty big. But it's always Lou Anarumo against those elite quarterbacks.
Now, we saw on that Monday night game in the limited amount that we did, Stephon Diggs got loose once, but he did not take over a game like we know he can. And it's going to be down to Eli Apple and Cam Taylor-Britt.
Yeah, when Chidobe Awuzie was healthy, he was traveling with the best wide receiver. He's obviously not healthy, so I think they'll keep the two cornerbacks static. They'll keep Eli Apple on one side, Cam Taylor-Britt on the other. I would imagine they will try to line Stephon Diggs up as much as possible against Cam Taylor-Britt and go at him, but Eli's going to probably see him some too. And you're not going to stop him, but you can't let him go off for 10 catches for $170.
The other big storyline within this game obviously is going to be in the trenches with the Bengals offensive line being down 3 starters, and the Bills, sneakily, you talk a lot about their offense. Their defensive line pretty good. Jackson Carman, Shaq Lawson, one of your matchups.
Yeah, that's one of the matchups for sure. Shaq Lawson would be tough anyway, but Jackson's only played really in the NFL 30 snaps or whatever it was the other night at left tackle. It's a big ask, but this was his college position after all, so maybe it's going to be a more natural fit to him. Maybe they'll latch on to something here with this, for goodness sakes.
And he's not the only one. Max Sharping, Ed Oliver, that's another one to watch on the interior.
Yeah, you could bring Max Montoya out of retirement, not just Max Sharping, and Ed Oliver would be a big ass. So you're right. I mean, that defensive front for them, and honestly, it's really up the middle. The 2 tackles, the linebackers, Milano especially, and the safeties, that's the strength of their defense. But it starts up front, and Max Sharping has got to contain Ed Oliver. He can wreck a game.
He's Richard Skinner on local12.com/sports. Our special guest this week, let's head over to Marissa, who has another special guest.
That's right, guys. Well, last season, she quickly entered the hearts of Houday Nation. She hasn't left since. Kate Adams has been all in on the Bengals, and she now joins Dan Hoard to talk more about Bengals versus Bills.
She is the host of Up and Adams on FanDuel TV, and she is universally loved by Bengals fans, Kay Adams. Kay, you have referred to the Bengals as my Bengals on your show. So how was the stress level last Sunday night in the game against the Ravens?
Very stressful, but also so fun. I think it was the best wild card weekend ever. A play with Logan Wilson and Sam Hubbard that will live in infamy. And I don't mean that in Cincinnati. I cover all 32 teams. It's one of those. It's the Immaculate Reception elite tier of plays. And that's something to be excited and proud of as well. So sure, was I worried? Was I jumping up on my couch? And was I hiding behind the couch when things weren't going so well? Absolutely. But there's a lot to look forward to, but a lot that needs to be worked on as well, Dan.
So a trip to the AFC Championship game will be on the line this Sunday in Buffalo. What are a couple of your keys to the matchup?
Oh my gosh, I just want T. Higgins to go off. Like I said, I think when you were watching the passing game in the first quarter before this horrible thing happened that stopped the play, Burrow was not missing. He looked really, really good. Now, I will say I'm a little worried about Tre'Davious White if I'm a Bengals fan because he came back from injury and he wasn't, jumping out the gates looking like shutdown corner like we expect him to look, but he's looked better every week. He looked really good last week as well. And when you do have what has been a pass rush that can't generate as much pressure, I'm looking at those corners and that secondary to really bring it, capitalizing on the turnovers that are going to come your way from Josh Allen because for whatever reason, that's what's happening. And I also feel like this Bills team, when they play with a lead, Dorsey, I think he gets a little bit more conservative. And I just hope that Zach Taylor matches that conservative behavior with more aggressive behavior. That's what I'll say.
Hey, you are an honorary member of Houday Nation. Like I said, Bengals fans love you, and we love having you on the show. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope we cross paths soon.
Bengals fans, go travel. I know Bengal Jim already bought his tickets. He's headed up there to Orchard Park. So dress warm, but be loud. And I wish I could be there, of course, cheering these Bengals on.
The one thing the Bengals need to do against the Bills is coming up next, as Coach Taylor is back with Gary to fill us in. Stay with us here on the Bengals Weekly Playoff Special. Join Dan Hoard and Dave Lapham Wednesday nights for the Bengals Game Plan Radio Show Live, presented by Bud Light. Visit Bengals.com/gameplan for a list of locations each week.
All right, Zach. In order to play another week, which came close in that Ravens game, as you expected, it would be right down to the wire. What's it going to take to advance and repeat get in an AFC Championship game and get out of Buffalo with a win?
You're going to be shocked to hear me say this, but we need to win the turnover battle, and capitalize on our low red zone possessions where you get, 7 points instead of 3. And just like our defense did last week, keep them out of the end zone. If they get down there, make them kick field goals or create turnovers.
How critical after you get that turnover is that next possession?
There's a lot of momentum there, and so you want to be able to aid your defense when you get that turnover, put points on the board immediately, ideally 7, but anytime you can put points after turnover, it's a big momentum boost for your entire team.
Is that a sense of reward for what the defense did?
They appreciate that. They got you the ball back, and so when you can at least keep them off the field for a little while longer, they tend to appreciate that.
1 year ago, the Bengals ended the 31-year playoff drought. This year, the team won a playoff game in back-to-back seasons for the first time in franchise history, as Zach Taylor has set a new standard in Cincinnati. And the journey for his team, well, it's only just the beginning.
Final score, the Cincinnati Bengals 41, the Houston Oilers 14.
We did a podcast rewatching that game, which was against the Oilers in 1991. It's funny to go back and see the state of the team then and the way things were and how long ago it was.
It's been heartbreaking that it's been 31 years. I thought we were going to go on a roll. And then you lose some key pieces here and there, but you'd hope you rebuild.
I ain't gonna lie, it was a struggle. I ain't gonna lie.
It made it hard to enjoy the good times. You look at a stretch from 2011 to 2015. The organization had one of its most successful runs, but there was always this thing of, but the playoffs.
You have to be a loyal fan, and there's always that chance.
There's always that hope. Hope is a very powerful feeling.
The emotions of the city, the history, it was never going to go away until they won one.
This is different. I know it's going to turn out different. We have Joe Burrow. And if you really look at all the moving parts that we had, the future's so bright.
They just had this tenacity and this execution level to them that was different. The fans, I think forever, because of everything that's happened, always were waiting for the other shoe to drop. But with this team, they didn't wait for the other shoe to drop anymore. They waited for Joe Burrow to walk out of the tunnel.
65,000 plus standing and making a lot of noise as we get ready for the Bengals and Raiders in the opening playoff game of the NFL season.
There was a tension that day, I think, that it was undeniable.
Shotgun snap, drops back, guns it into the end zone, into a thicket where it's caught for the touchdown!
Nice. You were on pins and needles the entire game.
They were coming down to the last few seconds of the game. Raiders are driving down the field. You're just like, oh my gosh, it's, we got to hold them, we got to hold them.
9 yards of real estate will determine this playoff game. 17 seconds to go.
And then Jermaine Pratt intercepts that pass.
Intercepted! Jermaine Pratt has the football! The drought is over!
I don't think you really can describe it. Incredible exhilaration, relief, joy.
The emotion that came over us, the tears, the hugging, the screaming, the yelling, the jumping up and down.
Looking down and just seeing the pure pandemonium that erupted. I don't know how you're not affected by it if you understand the situation, because it meant so much to the city.
That's our standard now, so we're going to celebrate it every single time we do it. We're going to smoke our cigars and we're going to wear our t-shirts and hats, but we expect that every year.
You're always going to have your city and the place you were born. This is our team. You know that we've got the people. You know we've got the coach. You know we've got the organization. And when they come play at home, you know the fans are going to be loud and drive this team. There's no stopping us.
And that road goes to Buffalo Sunday on your TV home of the Bengals, Local 12, 3 o'clock kickoff. It's Bills, it's Bengals, a spot in the AFC Championship game on the line. Gary Miller will be there until the final whistle blows. He joins us one more time from Buffalo.
We have a full crew here in Buffalo. That includes our videographer, Shad Berry, who gives you those huddle-level views of every game. We'll be in the locker room for you. We'll also have Skinny's analysis. It's all coming up from the scene on Local 12, and in the Sports Authority, we'll go in depth. But right now, I can't wait. So back to you, Chris and Marissa.
Thanks, Gary. Of course, the post-game report right after the game as well on Local 12 up until 7 o'clock. And after the 11 o'clock news, the Sports Authority will break down everything, as Gary just said, happened in Orchard Park. Marissa, we've come to the end of another Bengals Weekly Playoff Special. I'm ready for game day.
I am too. And hopefully, Chris, same time next week right here.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Well, until then, Houday Nation, thanks for tuning into this Bengals Weekly Playoff Special. And as always, Houday!
Bengals Weekly is brought to you by Paycor, proud to be the official HR software provider of the Cincinnati Bengals. And Alta Fiber, proud to be the official internet provider of the Cincinnati Bengals.